Welcome to episode 42 of the Creative Train podcast. A few months ago, in episode 26, I talked about the role that artificial intelligence seems to be finding and playing in our day-to-day lives. And it's not all doom and gloom. Sure, there's the matter of convenience in having it filter through reams of online data, but it can only find things that are already online and repackage them for you. And that's really just grunt work. It's not creativity. Today, I'm going to talk about the quantity versus quality of our creativity and how embracing certain new technologies runs the risk of making us all the same. Now, dang, that's doom and gloom. Ugh. All aboard? Just before we get going, if you like what you hear here and you want to start a conversation, please consider liking and subscribing on whatever platform you're hearing this on. It would mean a great deal to me. I totally love doing this, but being able to interact with listeners is truly a golden moment. This podcast episode was inspired by a conversation with one of my students. He's a 12-year-old piano player with such brilliant insights that sometimes it kind of freaks me out. But mostly I'm always conscientious that I have been charged with helping to shape the creative mind of such an incredible kid, and I make every interaction as information-rich as possible. Now, don't get me wrong, I do this for every single student regardless of their abilities. I never scrimp. But some only come because their parents make them come. Or they just kind of go through some of the motions, and some are there mostly for social interaction and maybe a bit of music. And in those cases, I can relax my vigilance a bit so that I don't bore them with things that they're really not there for. So last night, this 12-year-old big-brain bipedal computer and I were talking about AI, just in general. And he's learning coding and making his own video game. Doing that, complete with its own original musical score. New topics came up in between our actual piano work, and we came around to his thoughts on using AI to help him code the game. He said he gave it a try, and after 4 or 5 attempts at getting something genuinely creative as a result, he just gave up and got back to pressing his imagination for more interesting stuff, something that felt more like a piece of his work. Now, that's really something for someone, especially someone that age, to talk about something that feels like their own work. Because it shows that he started to develop an identity or a vibe that is a reflection of his own inner workings that expresses not only his technical abilities in understanding coding, but also looks and sounds like something that he believes actually represents himself as a creator. So what did the AI do wrong? Absolutely nothing. But it only has a certain amount of variables and information to work with. So chances are, after 4 or 5 attempts at getting your desired result, you end up with just 4 or 5 variations on a theme. What is the AI missing then? Inspiration, a heart, a soul, curiosity, a motivation to feel joy and satisfaction as a result of creating something totally new. I did a few experiments myself with ChatGPT, and it was actually the first time I had ever used it. And honestly, to this day, I'm genuinely not interested in continuing to use it, even though certain platforms I work with kind of insist that you do use their AI built-in software. But here's what I did. I took the main points from a creative writing exercise I did last year, and I asked AI if it could compose for me a 1,000-word script based on those points, as if I were going to record it and post it as a video to YouTube. The script was to be one that is kind of like a lightning rod moment for artists and creators, to give them that moment where they finally feel that their art is worthy, that they are worthy, that they are not in competition with other artists, and that they should create solely, primarily, for their own joy and satisfaction. I asked it to use alliteration, as I often do, to create certain lines with a rhyming scheme, which I also often do, and to also make it feel uplifting and inspiring, which I always try my best to do. The results were in some ways surprising in that I wouldn't have chosen certain verbiage or topic definitions. But more surprising was how quickly the results came back. Now, I did this 4 times. Each time I asked it to revise what it had already done. And it came back with something definitely different, but it all lacked in personality. There were 4 variations on a theme, but all kind of sounded the same to me when I read them. Just a collection of talking points that were loosely connected by some few threads of filler words. Honestly, when I compared it to my own writing, I liked mine a lot better. And this ties in back to the young fellow I was talking about earlier, because his group was tasked with using an AI assistant as part of their projects to co-produce over a week a certain in-game event. I don't know what it was, but anyway. So of the 4 folks in the group that used AI, their results all came back as variations on a theme, and were all basically the same kind of thing. The results were quick and seemingly very efficient, but not all that engaging. Then, another group was given the same task and asked not to use any AI assistance and to also work together to create that in-game event. Of the 4 group members, each one came back with very different results. Then, a different group of users was asked to review what they experienced with each of the 8 variations of the theme, and they all unanimously chose one of the 4 original schemes. The AI just didn't measure up, and these kids had no idea what they were up against. They just know, try this out, see what you think, see which one you like the best. This all goes to the AI interference, as I call it in the music business these days, with a strangely growing percentage of streaming platforms serving you completely AI-generated music. They get to collect your subscription fees and actually pay 0 to these, air quote, bands because they don't exist. It's a total bonus for them. They get all kinds of new people coming to see these or hear these new acts, but they are totally pulling the proverbial wool over your ears and making money off of you as they do it. AI music, AI voiceovers, AI animations, it's all fun at first, but if we allow ourselves to get continually dumbed down by the sameness of it all, where will this have us in another 25 years? I said it before, and I'll say it again here, all great societies are remembered for their art and their culture. The things they created to inspire their fellows and bring beauty to their environments. With this era of AI, air quote, again, creativity, what is going to be worth remembering and celebrating? The funny deep fake videos of Morgan Freeman saying ridiculous things, yeah, they're funny. Or some spontaneous political memes, or those obviously fake natural wonders where they show like rainbows flowing backwards up a mountainside, like a waterfall or something. Or music with meaningless lyrics and melodies that are obviously stolen from an actual musician and songwriter and creator. What's going to be memorable? What do you think our future selves would think about those things if, say, that was all you had to go by to figure out what this civilization at this point in time was? Instead of trying to improve AI for such things, I think our efforts as artists and creators could be better spent working on our own stuff, exercising our minds, drawing inspiration from our hearts and souls as individuals and as a society of people. Wherever you are on the planet, put AI in its place, use it where it works really well, and leave it out of where it doesn't work. Don't make it into your creative minion. People will know when they're looking at genuinely inspired art. Put your heart and soul into your creations, and that energy will reach the appropriate eyes and ears and hearts. I would totally encourage you to experiment with the AI stuff, though. You may get some surprising results that might nudge you in a new direction, but what I anticipate more is that it will give you a new appreciation of your uniqueness and value as an individual with your own valuable perspective, voice, and method. There's your pep talk. Now go get to work. So how much of a role does AI play in your creativity? For me, I gave it a try and I didn't like it. I have a few friends that are experimenting with EDM music and they're sending me lyric ideas. And, at first they were saying, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they said, "Yeah, I used AI to write it." And I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of shows." I didn't want to insult their work, but now that I know it wasn't their work, it's fine. But anyways, I'd encourage you to do those experiments. Have an idea already fleshed out. Draw something, make something, write something, and then ask AI to recreate something like that based on your points, and then compare the results back to your own. And I think you're going to be really surprised with yourself.